Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, so basically in the last couple of days when I was doing videos on VEO 3, that I was doing all these like wrestling type videos, but I think it was obvious that I was probably drawing inspiration because of Hulk Hogan's passing as far as that goes. And and it was also the fact that having that one character of mine, Jake Shorty, becoming a wrestler is another thing there. And so I'm probably also going to be explaining as far as when it comes to some of the wrestlers here. You know, so when it came to the one that I call Lollywood Star, he's basically based on Tony Khan. He's the guy that runs AEW, and and then his and then he also has a dad, Shadi Khan, I think. I might be mispronouncing his name, but he's the one that kind of helps out in a way. And then also combining that with Shane McMahon, and then also Vince McMahon. You know, as far as that goes with the dad there, and in a way, the other character, the Sikh, he's based on Jinder Mahal a bit, and then when it came to this other character, Golden Horseshoe, he's what if you put like Colby and Rick Fox and a couple of other basketball players, uh, if they were wrestlers instead, or one that had the gimmick of a basketball player turned wrestler sort of thing, you know. And then, so when it came to some of the other characters, it was just more less like having characters that were like in that. I'm trying to remember what they called that era of WWF back in the mid to late 80s, where they had all these wrestlers that had all these novelty gimmicks of that sort, where there was one wrestler that was, his gimmick was like a Canadian Mountie, and there was one that was, Honky Tonk Man, who was, his gimmick was Elvis, and then there was another couple of other ones, that had that novelty gimmick of that sort, and like one that was like a hillbilly or something like that, but I can't even remember. And but that was like way before they had the Attitude Era of WWF, before they became WWE, you know. And then there was that era that was in between, that was kind of like the early to mid 90s before the Attitude Era. But I kind of just don't really remember what that era was called, because that was where they had that one wrestler, Yokozuna, and a couple of other ones, because I think I do remember watching some of it, as far back then, and maybe even when they came to Erwin R. Schuster, who was Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas's dad, you know, there, you know, because that was his gimmick was the tax man, you know, and in a way it was like the Attitude Era was the era that made WWE be like the wrestling company as far as that goes. You know, in spite of like all of its controversies at one point during that time. You know, if I remember correctly, because there was like this one show that they had while I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time, and where it was Bill O'Reilly was kind of having one of those confrontational interviews with what's her name, Linda McMahon, you know, was Vince McMahon's wife, and then she was the one who basically handled more of the day-to-day operations, you know, with WWE and all that, and just as much as any like the other former superstars, you know, that also contribute in some ways of like whether it's train the new people that go into NXT and all that, and then there are others who just help more behind the cameras as far as being, you know, producers and writers, or be managers and promoters of that sort. And then of course I even remember what was that guy's name? And he was that one promoter that wore a gold turban on his head, you know, and the sunglasses, and I think that also might have drew some inspiration when it came to Lollywood Star as far as that goes, you know. And so, anyways, I guess that's probably it. So talk to you guys later.